So today I decided to go back on Wellbutrin. Yay. So why? Why am I on Wellbutrin? Why did I decide to go back on Wellbutrin? How does that all work? So antidepressants was never my first strategy for dealing with mental health. I became really jaded with conventional medicine during high school and college, mainly high school, because of growing up with thyroid disease, growing up with an autoimmune disease that made it so I was in doctors' offices a lot. I spent a lot of time with doctors because I just wasn't responding to treatment well, and things just there was a lot of struggling to get a balance. And so my mental health kind of was on a back burner because thyroid disease can cause mental health problems. So that was the main focus in my treatment, was treating my thyroid disease. And so, mental health went on the back burner. And it was also kind of if we treat the thyroid disease, then your mood and your mind should be fine. On this journey, I have taken a very holistic stance. I think that combination therapy is the best. And by combination, I mean everything you got. You need to be doing it all. Doing it all. Especially depending on how severe your mental health is, if you are putting your life in ruin, how much are you harming yourself, basically, making really poor decisions, or just choosing not to live. And that's always been my struggle, is this feeling of I don't want to live. I don't want to survive. And when you're a human, your base instinct should be survival. And so when you don't want to survive, and you lose that instinct, it can be really, really weird and really uncomfortable, and it's concerning because it's well, then what do? The whole point is survival and figuring out a way to live that feels good for you. So I'm just gonna say straight up, I'm a holistic practitioner. And I stand by that conventional medicine, holistic, all of it needs to be used. You need to use everything. You should have a clinician, you should, a therapist, a spiritual healer, whatever, try different things, exercise, diet, every single thing, supplements, medication, all of the things need to be used. You need to try all of them. You need to know what works for you, and you need to have several strategies ready for when you realize you're starting to fall back into an old pattern. So I finally got on Wellbutrin and that's the first antidepressant I've ever taken. I've never taken any other meds like that, ever. I chose Wellbutrin because I knew I had a family member and friend who also took it. And just something in me, I'm a very intuitive person. I have some natural skills that have definitely kept me going throughout this whole journey, and I'm really thankful for those natural inclinations I have. And one of those is this intuition, this knowing I have about things that it's just I just know. I just know, and so I go for it. And that usually works out for me, so that's great, and I've learned to trust that voice. So that voice told me during the year of 2017. Yes, 2017. It was around fall. I had been living with my parents after college, and that was really hard for me because I thought I always had this idea I'd go to college and I'd get a job and it would just all work out for me and it would just all fall into place, and it didn't, and it was very hard. And yeah, it was just really hard. And all throughout college, a lot of my energy and effort was put into mental health. Like, I was constantly searching for solutions for myself. It basically drove my entire education, and like all of my urges and instincts were all to find a solution for the pain I had inside, for like the darkness inside, my like lack of will to survive. Like, I was struggling with that all throughout college. And that struggle led me to find body talk and Reiki, and astrology, which have all been like miraculous tools. It helped me find ethnogens, which have also been a really powerful tool. And, that got me through until it was like, okay, I'm at my parents' house. I don't know what I want to do. Well, I did. I knew that I wanted to be a body talk practitioner, but my lack of self-esteem and like I really felt unable to like move forward with my business and working with clients, and like I just like lacked that that like belief that I could do it and that I was worthy of it and that I could even help people or that people want to pay me. There was just this like, this is huge root chakra stuff. Root chakra is survival. I didn't want to survive. So making a business, and business is all about creating something, that supports you in your survival, because it's a way to make money, which helps you survive. And I just like felt so disconnected from that urge. And so I just like, and it's taken me years to be able to have that awareness there. At that time, I didn't know. I was just like, fuck, I feel like shit. I feel terrible. Like, I feel like I want to die. I don't know what I'm doing. I was waitressing, living with my parents. I felt like shit. So it was like, I need help. I need help. So that was fall. So that's 2 years ago, like to date, pretty much. And I did see a traditional therapist for the first time. I originally went into more spiritual, holistic things because the doctor in high school didn't fucking help me. So like, that was just like, I was like, I need something different. So that's what brought me there. So then I was like, okay, let's try conventional stuff again. Like, let's check it out. I'm open-minded, and I went to a talk therapist that I intuitively picked in Seattle, and it was okay. It's something that I would consider going into again. I just felt like it was, yeah, it's a hard one. It just didn't feel right to me. I wanted to try it. I had to know what it was like, but I remember I only went 2 times, and after the second time, I had a panic attack, and I just felt really like it just stirred things up in me, and then it didn't really give me a way to deal with the things it stirred up in me. Like, it kind of like, yeah, it got me all like frantic, and then I didn't know, like I had no way to take care of myself after that. Like, I was like, like, whoa, I feel exposed and vulnerable, and now it's like, I don't know what to do with those feelings. And so, probably it's something that I would definitely go back into, and I am considering, especially since I also want to go back to school to get my traditional like counseling certificate. I want to just have that, also because I want to do more radical work. And the more radical work you do, the more you need to have that conventional background. It's like you need to have that balance, that integrated view. That's something I highly value, is an integrated perspective, especially on mental health and like human, well-being. But I also decided, I was like, I want Wellbutrin. I looked on like Reddit forums and scoured the internet, and I knew my friend had taken it, and I was like, I want Wellbutrin. And I wanted it because it didn't have as many side effects as SSRIs, and it just like felt right. So I basically went to my doctor, and I was like, I want to do Wellbutrin, and like, I'm depressed. And I don't know, like, she was just like, okay. She was like, have you tried meditating and eating well? And I was like, yes. I work out and I eat well and all those things. Like, that's I need more. And so I went on Wellbutrin for, I think it ended up being like 8 months. During that time, I worked, and I remember being able to go to work and it didn't suck. I didn't like, I would have this huge struggle like going to my job before Wellbutrin, where it was like, I would have to do all these rituals beforehand, and like I'd really have to like calm myself down, and then I would get to work and I would just want to start crying, and I would like feel like having meltdowns every time I had to clock in. And that's like, whoa, that sucks. That takes so much energy just to make, $1,000 a month, and like that's its own thing. But like I was like, no, I need help, because it's like, what else am I going to do? I need to make money to survive. So I saved up money, and I was already a certified body talk practitioner, but I saved up my money to take more classes in body talk. So I took 2 classes, and then I also took AcuNect, and then I got my Reiki 1 and 2 attunement, Reiki Master Attunement, and Karuna Reiki Master Attunement, all within like 6 or 7 months. So I went hard, and I like worked hard, and I got all of that education while on antidepressants. So like, to me, it's like, definitely there were side effects. Like, it made me a little more irritable. It definitely messed with my sleep. But what it gave me was the ability to do things, to like get shit done and not be so anxious about taking action. It was like a really extreme anxiety I had towards like taking any sort of action of any kind, of just moving through my day, of, anything. And so Wellbutrin gave me that. And then I stopped taking it for a while. I moved into a different community. I moved out of my parents' house. I was surrounded by a lot of spiritual people. I stopped taking it, but what also happened is I went back into my pattern of not being able to take action on things, which is a place where I feel very safe. Like, I feel super safe, but then I'm not doing anything really. And I'm kind of like stuck in this little like cocoon bubble of my life. And eventually the same shit happened again, where I got depressed. And actually there was like a lot of traumatic events surrounding the incident, but it was like I got into a very depressed state, like very dark. One of the darkest moments of my life, which I was like, no way, I thought I'd come so far to have another moment like this, but they happen. Like, you can't avoid it. So so then I went back on Wellbutrin, but what actually got me out of my depressed state and got me like into a better place was an emergency spiritual healing session, a body talk session with one of my favorite practitioners I've worked with forever. But so that's why I'm like holistic combination therapy. In that dark moment in my life, like one of the darkest moments of my life, the thing that got me like out of bed was body talk and Reiki and stuff like that. Body talk got me out of bed. I needed it to be from someone else. It wasn't my own, I couldn't treat myself in that moment. And the people who were super close to me, my friends, couldn't treat me. My family couldn't. They couldn't help me out of that. But an actual practitioner did. So that says a lot to me. Like, those moments where I was in really dark places and, having someone with these skills be able to bring me like back to life in a way, huge. And that's what inspires me to be that kind of practitioner today. So the other thing though was that then I was like, I'm going to go back on medication after that, because I was like, I need help. I need that extra crutch. And so back on meds. The meds got me back into a safer place. And then I went off of them much more quickly. So they were almost kind of like a transportation device the last time I took them. And then I went off of them because what I felt like is like, I don't need to be doing things right now. I need to be feeling all of the feelings. I need to be healing from what I just went through. I need to feel safe in my body again, safe in my life. I really needed to feel everything. I really needed to spend time in those dark places and searching through the caverns of my mind. And so I spent several months, especially this past summer, spending time with myself, a lot of time alone, a lot of time in isolation, but I learned so much about myself, and that was really, 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 really important. I really needed that. And so now I'm in a really good place. I actually feel like the most self-aware I have in my whole life. And I actually feel really good. So why am I taking meds? I'm taking meds because I recognize a pattern in myself that is creeping in. And this time I'm noticing it faster than like emergency situation. So being able to gain awareness of your cycles and your patterns is so important. Once you realize the patterns of behavior you have, then you're able to be more aware of when you see those patterns creeping in, and, you know, because it's like they're very powerful. The habits and cycles and patterns in your life are so powerful. And you can sit there and try to fight them and resist them, or you can bring in help, bring in tools, find things that help you move through it and, you know, make changes that you can. So I'm noticing I'm in this place of inaction. And while it was okay for a while for me to be in this kind of healing, inactive state, in this place of, extreme reflection, it's like now it's time to act and move forward and like move into the next chapter of my life. And so that's why I'm going back on meds. And we'll see how long it takes, how long I decide I want to be on them. But I know that I feel much more motivated on Wellbutrin. I feel much more like inspired to get work done, and doing things isn't such a big hassle. Like, I don't have to do all these like things to like pump myself up. That was like, it takes so much energy to pump myself up to get something done, versus when I'm on Wellbutrin, I can just sit down and do it. So that is my main reason for taking it. And if you want to get into Wellbutrin more, Wellbutrin is connected to Adderall. They're very similar. It's not the same. Like, Wellbutrin builds up in your system, so it's not like you pop an Adderall and, you're like, yay, whatever, cracked out for a little bit. Wellbutrin has some of those like kind of cracky out feelings, but it's more subtle. And it's more geared towards depression. So Wellbutrin is really interesting medication. Do I recommend it? I don't know. Like, how do you recommend meds? What I recommend is finding things that work for you and trying things. And that's a message I want to keep very clear, is like, there are so many different types of therapies and treatments, supplements, and like things you can do. And I think it is so massively important that you just try things. And something that you can really do for yourself is learn to notice your patterns, recognize, know thyself. The more you know yourself, that is an invaluable tool. The more you know yourself, you're able to know when you need to be like, all right, it's time to bring in, like, maybe I need to call, like, phone a friend, like, oh, I'm noticing like this creeping in, like, the point is like, make friends with your demons, know them by name, because then they have so much less power and you're able to work with them. And a lot of times people's demons and their dark emotions are actually fuel for creativity. So it's like, how can I have access to my creative demons, my creative flow, and, feel good and be able to get things done? It's this very delicate balance. And I think it's completely worthwhile to put effort into creating and maintaining that balance in your life. But that's all it really is balance. And you're not going to find one thing that just like is the thing. Like, I don't believe in that. I believe life is cyclical. I believe that you can definitely change your life, but you're not going to wipe the slate clean and suddenly like everything's completely different. One, if you did that, that'd be scary. And it's also, we don't live in a vacuum. There's lots of different factors and parts and pieces of life. And it's really important to, the bigger, the ability to be able to hold several concepts in your mind at once and several different, aspects of mind and consciousness, that is the goal, that holistic, whole, integrated self. So this is just kind of me talking about that. And if you have questions, let me know. I love this discussion and I'm really inspired to keep it going and keep it live.